The rains were late and the land was pitched. Kemi sat alone under the old mango tree, watching the dust rise in the distance, knowing her mistakes weighed heavier than any doubt. Her gaze drifted to the horizon, where the village ended and the memories of a life she once lived lingered like a ghost. Kemi was born into a family of farmers in a small village on the edge of the savannah. Life was simple and modest. They struggled to put food on the table, but there was laughter and love in their home. As the youngest daughter, Kemi was often called the flower of the village, known for her beauty and charm, traits that had long caught the attention of Afolabi, a humble carpenter who lived nearby. Afolabi was not wealthy, but his kind heart won Kemi over, and they married young. Their love was strong and genuine, built on shared dreams of a life they would build together, even if it meant facing hardship. Together, they walked side by side, often laughing as they toiled under the sun, determined to make a life out of what they had. Kemi, one day we'll have a bigger house, Afolabi would say, holding her hand as they rested by the river after a day of work. We already have everything I need, she would reply with a smile, resting her head on his shoulder. And for a time, that was true. But as years went on, Kemi's heart grew restless. She began to notice women from wealthier families, draped in brighter, expensive clothes and adorned with gold jewelry. When she spoke to her friends about her yearning for better life, her closest friend, Sade, would listen patiently. "I understand your dreams, Kemi," Sade would say as they ground maize together under the shade of a bamboo tree. "But you have Afolabi, a man who loves you deeply. Riches cannot always fill a heart." And Kemi would not like this response. "Ha! You've not seen that woman that came back from the city. Oh, she was so beautiful. Did you see her dress? Did you see how beautiful she looked and how lavish her car is?" But Kemi's other friend, Amaka, encouraged her dreams. Amaka had a taste of the city life, and she would often speak about the freedom and luxuries she believed that only the city could provide. "Kemi, what you said is true. These people are living large in the city. You are too beautiful to stay hidden in the village forever," Amaka would say in a sly smile. "Imagine living in a place where you wear fine clothes, eat delicious food, and never have to work." Kemi's longing grew stronger with each of Amaka's stories. So, when Obinna, a wealthy trader from the city, arrived in the village, Kemi felt her heart beat with excitement. He was handsome and confident, a man who seemed to carry the world in his hands. At first, their interactions were innocent, a friendly exchange at the markets, a compliment when he passed by, but soon Obinna's intentions became clear. "Kemi, you are wasting here," Obinna whispered to her one evening when he found her alone at the river. "Come with me to the city. I can give you a life where you never have to worry about hunger or hard work. I would buy you whatever you want. Kemi, just come with me. Whatever you want, whichever designer clothes, whichever designer bag, no matter the amount, I can get you." Kemi's mind swelled with thoughts of what she could have. She began to spend less time with Afulobi, avoiding his gentle questions and instead daydreaming of a life filled with comfort and luxury. But Shade noticed her friend's change and tried to warn her. Kemi, 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 how many times did I call you? Be careful. Obinna may promise you the world, but remember, that is love, not gold. That will warm you in the bed. But Kemi's heart was already set. One evening, as the villagers gathered to celebrate a successful harvest, Kemi quietly slipped away, leaving behind the only family and love she had ever known. She didn't even look back as she left with Obinna to the city, believing in his new life that would bring her happiness. At first, life in the city was dazzling. Kemi awoke each morning in a ground house filled with fine furnishings and walls adorned with intricate carvings from distant lands. Her bed was vast, with soft linings and plush pillows that felt like clouds against her skin. Instead of fetching water each morning as she once did in the village, a servant would bring her a bowl of fresh water, and meals were prepared and cooked by a cook who would present each dish as though it were a feast. Every day, Obinna would buy her gifts: silk clothes from foreign markets, gold earrings that caught the sun, perfumes that filled the room with exotic scents. She was no longer the poor girl who lived in the village, who toiled under the sun. She was a wife of a wealthy trader, pampered and surrounded by luxury. When she walked through the busy streets with Obinna by her side, she noticed the admiring glances from others, and for the time, this attention filled her heart with pride. Obinna took her to lavish parties in the city, gatherings filled with people dressed in silk and velvets, their fingers adorned with jewelries. Musicians played all night, and the tables were piled with fruits, meats, and wine. Kemi felt as though she had entered another world, a world of elegance, comfort, and privilege. She was treated like a queen. She would always look at Obinna and thank him for the life that he had shown her. Oh, Obinna, I bless the day I met you. I bless the day you came into my life. Ha! If I was in the village by now, I would have been walking under the sun. But now, oh my God, Kemi would always praise Obinna, and Obinna would just smile at her and still buy her plenty other things. Remember what I told you, Kemi. Whatever you point your hands at, I will get for you. And Kemi would bask in the loving words Obinna shared her. But as months passed, Kemi began to see changes in Obinna. The man who was once charmed with his promises and lavish gifts now seemed cold and distant. He was away often, spending days at a time, traveling or meeting with other wealthy traders. When he was home, he would rarely show affections, and his words became clipped and harsh. One evening, Kemi approached him, hoping to find warmth in his eyes. Obinna, I miss the times we used to spend. It's lonely here when you are away. Obinna glanced at her, his eyes uninterested. I have responsibilities, Kemi. I've given you everything: the house, these clothes, fine food. Isn't it what you want? After all, since you came here, you've not worked, so you don't know what it means to earn money. I am a very busy man, Kemi. But Obinna, I thought we would share this life together, she said, her voice barely a whisper. He sighed, dismissing her with a wave. I don't have time for this. You wanted wealth, didn't you? Well, here it is. Enjoy it and stop complaining. Stop disturbing me. From that night, Kemi's days grew emptier. She would wander the large, silent rooms alone, her footsteps echoing off the marble floors. The servants she once appreciated now seemed like strangers, moving around her as if she were invisible. She missed the warmth of her old village, the lively conversations she shared with her family and friends, and the laughter that filled even the smallest moments of her old life. Kemi tried to find comfort in her expensive clothes, her jewelries, the ground house, but each object reminded her of how hollow her life had become. She felt like a prisoner in a palace. She spent hours by the window, staring out at the crowded streets below, watching the people walk by, some poor, some wealthier, but all seeming more fulfilled than she was. One day, she received a letter from Shade. Her friend's words were simple but struck Kemi deeply. Kemi, I pray you are happy, though my heart tells me otherwise. We miss you here. Aflobi has moved on, and he seems content. If you ever feel lost, remember that there will always be a place for you here. Kemi's heart sank as she read these words. Afolobi had moved on. The man she had once loved, the man who loved her without wealth or luxury, now had a life that didn't include her. She realized that while she had been chasing wealth, she had lost the very people who had given her life meaning. Kemi tried to rekindle her marriage, hoping Obinna one day soften, but only grew colder. She eventually discovered he had taken an interest in other women, wealthy women from his social circle. She confronted him one evening, her voice trembling with fear and frustration. Obinna, you promised me happiness. You told me I'd never be alone, she said, her eyes filled with tears. Obinna, I spent days and months in this house alone. Obinna, I don't know what I'm doing again. Obinna laughed, a hollow mocking sound. I promised you wealth, Kemi. Happiness. That is for you to find. If you can't be satisfied with all this, he gestured around the room, then maybe you were never meant for this life. You are so poor, you've never thirsted wealth, and here I am offering you wealth, and you are looking for happiness. Kemi, you can't have the both of them. You either choose wealth or you go back to your poor, wretched life. Femi felt these words as though it was a slap across her face. Her heart felt as though it had been shattered. She realized that everything she had chased, everything she had left behind brought her nothing but emptiness. She had traded love for luxury, family for solitude, and warmth for wealth, and now she was left with nothing. Finally, Kemi decided to return to her village to try to find the solace she had lost. She traveled for days, her heart heavy with regrets. When she arrived, she saw the familiar sights and smells from her old home, the dusty paths, the small houses, the familiar faces, but everything felt different now. Afolobi was no longer the young man she remembered. He had rebuilt his life, married another woman, and had children who looked like him with the same love Kemi once felt. She watched from a distance as they laughed together, the sound of their joy piercing her heart. She realized, though too late, that she had abandoned a life that had been rich in love and belonging, something no amount of wealth could replace. In the following months, Kemi lived alone in the village, helping out where she could, but always on the outskirts of the community she had once belonged to. Her friends Sade and Amaka would visit, though now it was Sade who gave her company, often more than Amaka, who had very little to say. Sade never reminded her of her mistakes. She only sat with her in silence, offering comfort through her presence. Kemi became known in the village as the woman who had left for riches and returned with nothing but sorrow. Her story passed down as a lesson, warning a warning that what seems like a dream may hold unexpected darkness. And for the rest of her days, Kemi lived simply, her heart forever marked by the choices she made and the love she had lost. Thank you everyone for watching. What are your thoughts on this story? Are there life lessons to learn from this story? Share it in the comment section so that we can know your thoughts. Also, do not forget to like, share and subscribe. Also, turn on your notification bell so that whenever we post new videos, you'll be the first to get the notification. Please stay tuned, and more interesting stories are coming your way from this channel. Thank you so much.